comments on for class participation.
Oh, what? I sent you an email as well.
Yeah, I got
Oh, okay.
the email.
Okay. Gotcha.
When are the press do you need any material? Do you need the, you have your copies and the slide?
Also at the same time. Just showing that everything.
Oh, it's not. It's like what, 3 in the morning? Yeah. So if you can watch the videos for class 1, class 2, and there's a process of comments. You can just watch them, go through the slides, and you can send 3 or 4 comments.
Maybe there'll be something that jumps out.
And let me know.
Like
Yeah, we got
small and not big. Say, yeah.
Tell you what. This is just saying what they spend on social media. It's not saying no, that doesn't mean maybe they took it away from other. Exactly, I'm saying that's why I don't think that's what I'm correct.
Yeah.
What I was saying on the show, also that this company spending so much money during the financial crisis. I don't think that's
So in that case,
Yeah, I mean, we're going without going into
how long would be the master class this one is also something
they continue to enhance social.
Every time I do the calls, I try to check from the research.
and
Yeah, it's like an hour, 10 later, I was probably
Honestly, we
Yeah,
do
like,
that. That's the most common.
what? It's just become difficult.
他用固体的盒子，他把咖啡放进去。因为你也是咖啡的。那可能还没有丢，把那个它是重复用了，把实在是把那个。
Yes, he's made it.
So next week, you must not.
I'll see if I can pull some strings and get you to present.
来，不是有那个考试点，你还是得来吧，不能没考。
Yeah, next class, they come up here fast. Yeah. Hey, Greg, this was we left you early the first class, but then last week you're on. Rush hour, I didn't mark. Jessica, yeah. It's actually been a treat doing full-time and day students because I normally teach just the part-time just at night. You just can't really drag that on. It's like 8:45 and you're just droning on. There's just so much pressure to be done a little bit early. It's make it useful. I get a little
We're
bit
at
more
17
freedom.
minutes.
Is that Starbucks?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Oh, I just texted you. Oh, okay, sure. Oh, yeah, you go to table and you上去。上去那个配茶，然后你再把那个 glass，你做那个 wrap 放在第二个，就 OK 了。然后。对啊，2个 slice 搞定。每个负责前面的配网，负责前面一点，负责后面，其他都别安排了上。
Side by side, if something changed, like proportions, trust.
就是因为这几个把那个 advertising spending 会少的，就是 compared to the other industry，它把 advertising spending，是最少的。我来自这个，我这个介绍词是说，它的 是最少的，然后后面这个就介绍到percentage change 最大的，然后这两个是 percentage change 最小的，你就把这个几个主要数字再暂停一下，
还少一个。
Eric。OK，我的小名也当完了。Girl。然后你们有什么想法和答复吗？有没有这种东西？ 这样子，这个table，然后可以再加点 wrap，然后再加一个考核。我可以负责考核，我也简单负责考核，然后你可以负责开展 previous testing moment。那就是说，你就简单负责 surrender has been。
Hello? Yeah? Problem, it's the same? Yeah, yeah. The same color for you and
Ready? I'll go back to it. Alright. You guys ready?
Yes, one still missing one.
Wait, no, yeah, file.
Oh. Oh, this is this one?
for me because I'm probably too much.
All right, well, we'll see.
Trend would be, trend.
Yeah, probably not.
For me, you know, like I said, the first lesson of the industry, the overall spending on advertisement. That's my overall issue with that. Every industry does not make sense. Why they change more than others.
Are you all ready to present? Can you go first? All right, I'll take that as a yes.
Biggest spending.
The infrared pointer. Yeah, there's two. And this is forward, there is forward, and then you use the infrared pointer, infrared dot. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab our seats. The first team is going to start. What's All right, let's save it. Do it, Frank.
Right? Is it just two people who need to be present?
1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want. Minimum of 1.
He already took the whole file. What is entertainment? For
So maybe the trend is that virtual
Okay, so why do you get to enough to try to figure it out. So there's a lot.
Right, I mean, we gotta go. You gotta say
You got a point. How to say that?
So we're keeping it everything. Two people can present because there are two sides. You know, like, there's people who-
Josh, do your team have a file ready?
Just a minute.
Oh, you have one?
Yes.
Oh. Can you do that change refresh? Let me change.
I don't know what to change it to.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially paperwork. I don't know.
Just say as a password.
Okay, social media sites. Try to broadcast. I spend more broadcasting jobs.
Yeah.
All right, team one.
On social website. At the second slide, first slide. You want the slide? Basically, we'll talk about the techniques. You got it? And the first one.
Okay, everyone grab your seats, please.
People in this. People in this cut all know it.
So I was saying, like, as you know, the difference.
Exactly. So when you say as you know, so you know.
All right, team three, grab your seats, please. And Levy, you can keep working on that. Just don't talk during the presentation. Or if you get a piece of space forward. All right. Fire away.
Hello, everyone. Today we'll be presenting some technical data based on 1 month advertisement spending on social media sites by industry. As you can see, we've highlighted some of the large swings that we found in our data set. We noticed that entertainment had a high swing, and as you can see on the dates, this has to do a lot with the recession that was currently going on at that time. We feel that people were, that avenues such as Netflix were starting to market to people since they were home, since a lot of people got laid off during that time period. We also noticed a big switch from telecommunications as being one of the largest spenders to web media. We think that has a lot to do with the fact that sites such as LinkedIn and Facebook were starting to market to people also who were laid off and at home, and so that spending went up.
Okay, thanks Natalie, and now I'm gonna go to tell you what's this data gonna help you make a decision as an advertisement agency. So here is the percentage of each industry, and as we can see, telecommunication and the web media, they both kind of contribute 20 to 25% of the total revenue, so they have to be our target industry for as an advertisement agency. And then entertainment, the top 5 contribute about 80% of the total revenue. So this will be our target industry, and we'll say the rest of the 5 or 6 industries are too small to sway our attention now. And that will be our main goal, is to define our target industry, and secondly is trying to relocate our capital and resources. Then, does anybody have any questions?
Good. Excellent. So let's see. For this assignment, we want to analyze the given data and present a valuable, insightful conclusion to your fellow MBA candidates using Excel graphs as necessary. So what do we think of their accomplishment? Did they present a valuable and insightful conclusion to us? How well did they do that? What was their valuable and insightful conclusion? Anyone want to take? So you just heard a presentation. What was the conclusion? All right. So we're confused. We don't know exactly what the conclusion was. I have some ideas of why that might be. On the first slide, if you could go back to the first slide for a second. I think Natalie just threw 3 possible conclusions at us. One, because of the recession, entertainment goes up, and because social media is increasing, a large spending, and because, I forget what the telecommunications was. So right off the bat, we get 3 broad area conclusions, which I think is a bit much for a short presentation like this. I would rather see just one. And then when we go to the second slide, if you can go to the second slide, please. I feel like Yang changed gears on us. She said, we need to talk about our target industries. And so it's almost like a whole different presentation. So I feel like there's a lot in this. And I don't mean to pick on this group. This is the point of the exercise. There's so many different traps in this exercise for you to fall into. Oh, this is interesting, this means this. What if I look at percentages? What if I look at raw numbers? And they just did a good job of falling into a few of those traps. And I think because of that, it wasn't as effective. How do we like the transition between Natalie and Yang? Did you use the label, link, or lead method? She actually said, do you have anything to add? Anything else you want to say? Not here, present that important, impactful thing, or explain that next step, or reinforce my one central point. Or, Yang is going to explain the numbers behind this one valuable conclusion. I think would have been valuable. What do we think of the choice of graph? We've got a bar comparison, and it's all based on percentage of the whole. Like those 10 industries add up to 100%, right? So yeah, Priya.
I tried this one, and it was one of the suggested ones, and I didn't feel that it was portraying the right sort of distribution. So as we went back to the regular bar graph.
Yes.
Because this is a percentage, and everything is taken as like 100%.
Yeah. So what was Yang's conclusion at this, or what was her main thrust in this part of the presentation? It was, and I think I'm understanding this correctly, was that the 2 largest percentages are where we should think about our target market. So if that is her takeaway, do you think this is the best choice of graph? What might be a better choice of graph?
I think maybe a pie chart is better.
I think a pie. Let's look at the 2 big pieces, and the comparison. I think the 2 months. Maybe that adds to the confusion. Maybe she could have just done 1 month for the pie, for the 10 pieces of pie, and then let's look at the 2 big ones because they stand out. It looks like we've got 2 big pieces, 2 medium pieces, and the rest small. So I feel like it would have stood out. Yeah. Any other comments? All right, we're good. Like I said, there's a lot of traps here, and it's not meant to be perfect. But thank you for taking a stab. All right. So team 2. Yes, you're a team 2. This, you could go blank screen if you want. Forward, backward. white pointer, red thing? Alright.
You know, media class. So,
Okay, everyone, focus on the presentation, please.
so our presentation is on advertising, spending on social media. And then here's a table that where we compared the 2 years on it. And then we found that the entertainment increased the most, right? 12%. And the second followed by travel was 365%. And the other ones are the health increased by 143%. So those are like the main, the top three, I guess. I know, actually business 183, 4, and all more 178, and then travel 365, and then entertainment 812. Those are the top four. And then the one I talked before is probably 5 or 6. So I'm going to give back that. Okay, the second slide, I'm comparing 2008 to 2009. So as can be seen from the chart, telecommunications, the amount of money it doubled from 2008 to 2009. And then it seems that web media also more than doubled, because the difference, it seems like it's more than double. And then now we're gonna give our conclusion. And then I'm gonna hand it to Helen.
Thank you, Jerry. After Jerry's explanation for the data, we can get some conclusions from those data. And the first conclusion might be, we can see if we go back to this chart, we can see there is a trend in advertising spending on social media sites. We can see that, let me see, the telecommunication, if I remember correct, the retail goods and the service experienced the least increase, which is about 55% increase. And this second one, if I remember correct, the entertainment experienced the most increase is about 812%. And the second trend we can see is we can maintain and retain the top 4 industries, which are entertainment industry, live media, retail goods and services, and public service, because they take up 78% of the total advertisement spending on social media sites in August 2008, and about 70% of the total advertisement spending in the same month in 2009. And the third thing we can get from these figures is about we can improve our services and facilities to encourage 2 new industries to invest in more money, to spend more money to the social media sites, because we can see the entertainment industry, it increased 812%. The advertisement spending and the travel is about 400% increase.
Excellent. Comments for team 2?
Just go back to the table. Sorry to critique something. What I would have just done, you were trying to point out on the table, you're trying to point out the 4 with the most changes. I just would have sorted it by, put those ones at the top, not sorted it alphabetically, so that doesn't mean anything to me. You try to point that out.
Yeah, or highlight. I think Jerry just gave us about the top 4, top 5, and just walked them through. So why not put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? But let's stay on that point. Actually, we'll come back to that point. Other comments? how did they do in terms of giving us a valuable, insightful conclusion? What was their conclusion? Alright, so I asked this question a lot during this exercise, and I get crickets a lot during this exercise. And it's tough. It's tempting to list a lot of data and not accent the one, maybe two important takeaways we want. I think this group started out in the table, if you could go back to the table, Helen. I think it started out with Jerry just listing the top 4 or 5. So where's he going with this list? Is he trying to prove a point with this list? Is he just pointing stuff out to us? Okay, so he has our attention and he gives us the top 5 growth industries. And then something interesting and confusing happened on the slide. Can you go to the next slide? So what does this graph show that the previous table really did not show? I'm sure there's lots of answers to that question, so let me just tell you where I'm going with this. This graph shows raw numbers, and the previous table showed percentage increases. To me, that was the most confusing thing to their presentation, that you went, at some points you did percentage increase, and at some points you did raw numbers increase. And so it was really tough for me to try to consider what point you were trying to make when you were going back and forth. And I think you need to take a direction. You can say, all right, the biggest percentage increase is what we need to focus on. These are growth industries. If you invest $1, it'll grow by 800% or whatever you might have wanted to conclude from that. And there's a whole different way you would frame the conclusion if you're going to use the raw numbers to back it up. And I feel like, yeah, so we started talking about percentage increase, and then I think Helen even continued talking about percentage increase. Is that right, Helen? You talked about percentage increase. Go back to the table, or the bar graph, excuse me, forward. So she was talking about percentage increase, but what stands out is this part right here, because we see the large raw number. And what doesn't stand out is this entertainment. Like, did anyone even notice this till I pointed it out? Like, oh, look at this tiny little blue one, and then the big orange one. If that's the conclusion you want to make, then you need a different graph. You need to show the percentage in a different way, or just maybe show this part, I would say. Would you all agree that's fair? All right, so the back and forth between percentage and raw, and how about using the tape method to overview this? I think, what happened? Jerry, did you introduce this graph? You introduced the table, and then you introduced this graph, and then you transitioned to Helen for the percentage, or for that conclusion. Yeah, I wanted a tape method, so I'm trying to get my head, even though we're familiar with this data, because I've seen it 20 times, you all have seen it 5 times. We still need a minute to think about what they're trying to say. So tell us the title, tell us the axes, and we can orient ourselves, this is raw numbers versus percentages, and tell us the key takeaway. And I would also point out that I think going through that process would have helped you formulate what your important takeaway was. And by going through the title and the axes, you may have even realized, hey, wait a minute, we're talking about raw numbers here. And on the previous table, we were talking about percentage increases. So maybe that's going to be confusing. Let's change that. So just the process of preparing to present using the tape method, I think would have helped. Any other comments? Ending. Oh, Helen's ending. You ever notice how she ended?
No ending.
She just ended. And then she realized it was over and said, oh, that's it. So she missed the opportunity to ingrain that one important conclusion. But good job. You gave us a lot of things to talk about, and I hope that the exercise was helpful for you. So good work. Team 3. We just put the thumb drive in and
show you today the trends in social media marketing spending based on the industry. So we have accumulated data that shows monthly average spending on different industries, and the data gathered, and it's comparing data between 2008 and 2009. So here, as you're familiar with, coming from a business school, the difference between tangible and intangible social spending. So this graph talks about tangible versus non-tangible social marketing spending, and it's comparing, like I said, 2008 and 2009 spending in those 2 years. On the x-axis, it shows you the different industries that the data has been gathered from, and on the y-axis, it shows you the raw average, the raw dollar value that has been that they have spent every month on advertising, based on what you see here, the red bars represent the dollar value from 2008, and the orange one is for 2009. Irrespective of the industry that you see here, the average spending in 2009 has been more compared to 2008. And if you just take the raw dollar values here, there are two industries that sort of sticks out. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the entertainment. In 2008, it was this much dollar value, and as you can see, that they have really went up quite a lot in their dollar spending on social media advertisement. And the other extreme that I want to sort of emphasize here is the hardware industry. And they haven't actually, although they have spent a little bit more compared to 2008, but they haven't spent a whole lot. And what that data means, I'm going to pass it over to Justin, who's going to talk about what this data means. What kind of insight can we take out of this data?
Thank you, Priya. With our findings, we have found a very apparent, very obvious trend. As Priya has pointed out before, on the whole, the dollar value of money spent on marketing has increased all across the board. However, that's not to say there's no variations across industries. The two industries that we circled are the two extremes of the spectrum. On the one hand, as has already been pointed out, entertainment has increased dramatically, almost about maybe 4, 5, 6, 7-fold. And hardware, and this is actually a little bit cut off, it's hardware and electronics. And these are primarily products that come in the form of actual tangible products, something you have to find in the store, and the marketing method typically doesn't entail a lot of virtual marketing. It still requires a person to go into a store and take a look at the properties and the features of the products themselves physically. And if you look at other industries, you'll find that the industries that have seen extreme increases, both in terms of dollar value and also in terms of percentage, are the ones that entail a great deal of virtual marketing and virtual communications. These include web media on the far right, telecommunications, public services, and so on. And some of the little or smaller industries that have seen maybe not a great deal of dollar value increases, but a lot of percentage increases, such as travel over here, software. Now you notice that they're small, but do not let this indication, these bars, mislead you in any way, because the percentage increase is still very significant, comparable to that of entertainment. And you'll find that both travel and software are industries that involve a lot of virtual marketing as well. So those are the general trends that we have discovered. And for our conclusion, I'll pass it on to
Okay, so just very basically, just straight to conclusion. Our conclusion is as follows. The greatest increases have been in intangible products, or greatest increase in social marketing. So that's entertainment and web and media and stuff like that. And the smallest percentage increases have been in tangible products. So that would be your automotives and your hardware and electronics. Thank you.
Good, excellent. Comments for Team 3? How do we like their conclusion? Yeah, tell me about their conclusion. When did we get it? How was it supported? How was it presented? Yeah.
I feel like the start giving conclusion when Johnny was there, like the second half of Johnny's explanation and start giving conclusion. I think if Priya mentioned or have a conclusion at the beginning, because I was wondering why is the title is tangible versus intangible when you're talking about raw data. I've been continued wondering that thing the whole time when you're doing the presentation.
Yeah, I think that I didn't really understand tangible versus intangible until Levy came up and said this is, intangible products are entertainment, and tangible is stuff you can tell. Was anyone else confused by that? Yeah, I heard you say before, like they should know what that means, that we were referring to, tangible versus intangible.
Well, we were saying that it was jargon, so I was saying that.
Yeah. I feel like it confused me. It's like, how are you using tangible? And I just didn't get it until the end when you pointed it out. So I would say that their conclusion the way I would have focused their presentation is based on what Levy said at the end. He came out and said, here's a simple, clear conclusion. We've got the most increases in intangible and the least increases in tangible. I think that should have been the starting point of their presentation. And I think that would have focused, they should have started and ended with a clear statement like that. I think the other stuff confused us. Zhenning started talking about this virtual thing, and I thought, oh, okay, we're getting to a conclusion, but I don't think you really explored or supported that. And I dare say that Priya just listed data for us. Is that a fair assessment? She just listed data for us, and we really weren't sure where she was going with it. And I would encourage you to frame that in terms of, all right, we're not just going to list data, we're going to tell you the conclusion. Maybe tell us what it is. And then when you start giving us that data, it supports that conclusion that you, the smart MBA student, gave us. But I feel like that your section was just a list that we really didn't know what to do with. And we found it at the end with Levy's clear, simple conclusion. And that's what I asked you for in this exercise. It's just that clear, simple conclusion that we can clearly understand and we can support with the data. So I feel like this group, you're almost there. If you just started with that and then used the data to support it, you would have been right there. Any other comments? Yes?
I really like their PowerPoint, and also I like that highlights the 2 points they want to talk. And I think Priya actually did a good job explaining the raw data. She did the title and the axis. So I can like a lot of people.
Okay. Yeah, I want to talk about both those. First, I like those circles. But let me point this out to you. Think how much more valuable it would be if we knew their conclusion. If they could have said at the very beginning, we're going to tell you about how intangible industries grew exponentially and tangible products did not grow exponentially. Look at this. Here's the intangible. Look at how much that grew. Look at this. This is the tangible. Look at how much that grew. So it was helpful that it was circled and we had an idea where they're going, but if we knew where they're going from the beginning and they just used this to support it, then it would have been that much more effective. And the second thing you said was?
Explain the raw data, with the title, the axis, and go through the data.
Yeah. And I think what I said before is if we knew where she was going with this, it would have been more effective. Remember in the first class, I said if you give us this data without giving us the conclusion, it's like giving us pieces of a puzzle and we don't know what the big picture is. So we're listening to this piece, wondering how it all fits together. Now that's okay if we pay attention to you the whole time, we don't have anything else to do, we don't have anything else we want to think about, we're enjoying this, but if we have some other things on our mind, limited attention, not familiar with it, it's so easy to lose us if we don't have that big picture where we know where you're going. Okay, so I think we need to clear out of here. We're all set for next week. I will see you then. Get home safely.
The only way I would do this is keep stuff like this. Tomorrow, Thursday.
还有好多作品要做。
Yeah, so you just have to submit it based on the format and
I regret that. No, I already see that.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Absolutely.